Unscripted, unfiltered, unafraid. Welcome to the Macworld podcast. My name is Michael Simon, and I'm joined, as always, by Jason Cross.
Good morning.
And our producer, Roman Loyola.
Ahoy there.
This is episode number 962. We're getting closer to 1,000. Well, next year, right? Is that how it works? 40,
we
38?
went over this a couple episodes ago.
No.
Oh, we did?
Yeah. What are we at? 962?
962. Sorry for repeating this.
Yeah. It could happen.
I don't actually remember what I did this morning. So
it could happen next year. Yeah.
So 962. We'll have like a celebration at 1,000. So today's show is kind of like two shows, in the sense that we have two things that we want to talk about, and we don't know how long we're going to have to. We don't know how long we need to talk about it. So we're going to start with. You've probably read in Macworld and other places, like a bunch of people have left Apple, like big name people have left Apple recently. And it's like every day there's somebody new. So we're going to talk about all that, run down the list, talk about the importance of the people who are leaving, what it means, why it matters. And that could take like a half hour. So if it does, then the second thing we want to talk about, which is the iMac, because Roman wrote a story last week that got some feedback. We'll just kind of sandwich that into our segments at the end. We've planned it so it works either way. The expert producer that Roman is, it'll all work out. So strap in, because it's gonna be. We don't know where we're going today or how we're gonna get there, but we will end at some point soon. So I usually have a transition here. I don't, but you can contract us through Blue Sky, Facebook, or Threads. I usually say reader mailbag at the end of that intro bit, but I didn't. So this makes no sense here. But you can contact us through Blue Sky, Facebook, or Threads. Search for Macworld, look for the Blue Mask logo, send an email to podcast@macworld.com, respond there under a TikTok video, a YouTube short, whatever, and send us a message. We got a couple shows left before the end of the year. And then we're going to leave. We'll have a little break, and then we'll be back in 2026. Today is December 9th when we record this. You're listening on the 11th or later. So we got, 3 weeks before the end of the year? And 2 more shows, Roman, is that right? We're doing 2 next week?
Yes.
That's the plan? Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
So including this one is the 3 more shows. So 2025 is coming to a rapid close. And... Apple is going to look a lot different next year, and it could look a heck of a lot different by the end of the year. But we'll get into that in a little bit. Turnover in Silicon Valley is it's a thing. This company gets this guy, and it was so much of a thing. Like Steve Jobs and I don't even know who it was back in the day. Was it Adobe? It was someone they used to have like a pact where you couldn't get our guys for a certain number of months, and we couldn't get your guys because it's a thing. Someone's really smart, and they're like a rising star at one company, and then the other company sees that, and they're like, well, we want that guy to work here, so we'll give him more money, and it's fairly common, but not to this extent usually. Right now, so Jason, I'm gonna run down this list, and then we'll backtrack and talk about each guy.
Yeah,
but in the last
I feel like we should
months,
We should start by saying that a lot of this sort of fervor around this came with a report that Tim Cook was going to retire as early as 2026, which some people seemed to read as saying early in 2026.
Right.
And then some other clarification came out and said, no, it's not going to be early, but maybe later in the year. And that's still kind of a bombshell. That's he's retiring next year, next fall or something.
He's been with the company forever. He's been CEO for 20 years almost.
Yeah, no, it's a good run. It's expected. You could have an orderly transition. It makes sense. But even if he retires the year after, even if he retires in 2027, we are at the end of Tim Cook's era.
Yeah, we're nearing the end.
Yeah, and then there's this huge shakeup in the whole rest of the company. You'll go down the list, and we'll talk about who these.
Yeah, so the Tim Cook. We'll circle back to Tim Cook at the end of this thing, I'm sure. But so Jeff Williams, the chief operating officer, he announced his retirement. He's been with them for a really long time, probably as long as Tim Cook. I don't have the years in front of me, But it's been a while. So but that's just like, that's a normal retirement, spending time with family, and like, okay, fine. John Giandria.
Yeah. Well, Jeff Williams announced his quite a while ago.
And it was early in the year, yeah.
And it was going to be this November, and November came, and he retired.
Right.
But it just happened. They just lost their COO.
Right, he just left. Right, but they knew he was leaving. We knew he was leaving for a while.
And people don't really kind of appreciate what an important job COO is.
Yeah.
That's who Tim Cook was before being made CEO. And when you make products for a living, that's the guy responsible for dealing with your entire supply chain and getting everything to where it gets manufactured, and from where it gets manufactured to consumers and everything. Like, that's a huge role in a company like Apple.
Like, there was talk at some point that Jeff Williams might be a successor to Tim Cook. Like, it was kind of bandied about for a bit. Yeah. Because Tim Cook, like Jason just said, came from that world, and it's an important one. And you really need to understand the company and history of the company and what's happening, what's coming to happen, as well as the CEO to do that job. But, so he retired. The big news about a month and a half ago, maybe less, John Giandria, who was brought in to basically save Siri back in 2018.
Kind of.
It was like a big deal.
He was brought in. They didn't think they had a Siri problem in 2018. He was brought in to make the car.
They did. They knew. Yeah, but it was right. But everyone knew he was AI. And if Siri was going to be the voice, the brain in the car, it had to get a lot better.
But back in 2018, when John Giannandrea was, he was sniped from Google DeepMind.
Yeah.
And they were, back then, AI was really all about vision, AI vision and stuff like that. Like being able to understand the world around you through AI, being able to see AI, being able to see photos, see videos, see things through a camera and identify them and know where they are and how far they are and all that other kind of stuff.
Yep.
Which is critical for the car stuff. Google had done a lot of work in that area, and that was considered the cutting edge AI stuff. Nobody was doing chatbots.
Their whole car division.
Large language models weren't around. The whole transformer model thing was brand new. Like, so he was brought in to kind of lead that, and he led the car team for a long time.
Right.
And which grew to a lot of people before they scrapped the whole project and all that. So yeah, that was their AI guy, and he wasn't fired, but he was fired.
They said he retired, or the press release says he retired, but yeah, by all accounts, he was kind of like, listen, we don't really.
He'll be retiring in the spring, but he stepped down and is just an advisor now until he retires officially, that's how, when you're a senior VP, that's how you get fired.
Golden parachute, as they call it.
Kind of, yeah.
Next in line, we got Alan Dye, who is the vice president of human interface design, basically like the UI on your devices. And he was a big Johnny Ive guy under Evans Hankey, who left 3 years ago.
Right. What Johnny Ive was to hardware, he was to the software. He was the what's on the screen interface guy.
Right.
Where Johnny Ive was the, physical products design guy.
Right. So he wasn't like in charge of things, but he was in charge of that. Like, he wasn't, like Jason said, he wasn't like Johnny Ive, like this like hardware guru, but he had a major role in the last, X number of years of interface design, including liquid glass. So
yes,
he's gone. He's going to Meta, and you're going to find a theme in this show. A lot of people are going to Meta, which is Facebook, basically.
Yeah.
Another design guy. I'm going to screw this name up. I should have gotten Roman to read some of these names. Abador Chowdhury. He was one of the main designers for the iPhone Air. So that just came out. And so he left. He's going to an AI startup, not Meta, but some other company. But he's not retiring. He's going to another company. So that's two huge design guys that left. Then we got a bunch of AI researchers.
Well, before we move on from Dai, we should mention that.
So I want to circle back. So maybe we should stop each time. Maybe I'm gonna overload with names. So all right, yeah, let's stop.
I'll forget to come back to it. But,
right.
Without
let's talk, because this is a big deal.
With Alan Dai specifically, there's some gossip, depending on the blogs you read and stuff, that the other people who worked in design at Apple, the software design, and have for a long time, didn't like him. And he did not have a good concept of design as something that needs to be functional for how people use the product. It was more about how it looked. Right. And a lot of the complaints people seem to have about Liquid Glass, about how, well, it's pretty, but it's hard to read, or it hides important menu things that used to be one tap away is now 3 menus deep, or whatever. Those all sort of fit into the ethos that people complain, like unnamed sources complain about with him, and that the person who's replacing him, who was just under him before, is very well liked. And very well respected. So it could be, with the case of Alan Dai, that like this was not a planned departure, like he was poached by Meta to build whatever their AI thing they're going to build. But this could end up being a really good thing for Apple if all the gossip's true. Someone better's going to be
at least some of it has
software
to be.
design. Yeah,
like there's enough of it out there.
It's going to be good.
To conclude that at least a large faction of Apple's team of designers did not, I don't know if they didn't like him personally, but they didn't like the direction that he took the interfaces.
His theory of sort of interface design and stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see how long Liquid Glass lasts.
Yeah.
Like is iOS 27, how big of a departure is that going to be? How quickly can they move? Things like that.
I mean, so in 26.1, we got that button that let you basically turn it off, essentially.
Yeah, make it less clear.
Yeah, and you have to wonder, like, either they knew Dai was leaving, so someone's like, well, now's our chance. Or Dai got, like, chewed out by someone. He was like, well, screw it, I'm leaving anyway, so I'll just take a button to turn it off. Like, one of those things might have happened, but yeah, Jason's right. I don't think they'll get rid of it. Like, it's too much of a thing to get rid of. But I do think next year in 27, we're going to see some significant altercations in Liquid Glass. And listen, Liquid Glass can be great. Like Jason said, it's really pretty. It's very cool how the light shines. Like, there's a lot of cool stuff there. So if somebody can look at that with a fresh pair of eyes and say, all right, how can we keep the kind of the core of Liquid Glass, but make it more functional and readable and usable? You know, that can be done. The guy who is replacing him is his name is Steve LeMay, and he's been with them for a while too, 20 plus years. So he's no stranger to this stuff. So Alan Dai, like we heard his name when Johnny Ive retired back in 2019, I think. And he was kind of bandied about as like the next like rising star. And he even appeared in the Liquid Glass introduction at WWDC, like he was in the video just a couple months ago. So I'm assuming this took him by surprise. This took Tim Cook by surprise. And it's somewhat interesting that they didn't really seem to fight for him. I mean, I don't know what goes on in the negotiations behind closed doors.
Yeah, we have no idea what's going on here.
But like, if they really wanted him, they would have countered whatever Meta gave him. But by all accounts, it looks like Meta is spending a ridiculous amount of money to bring Apple people to Facebook or to Meta.
Apple, OpenAI, anyone they can get. They basically bet the whole company and like $70 billion on the metaverse and renamed the company. And it was the worst bet ever. And instead of firing their CEO, they just let him do it all again.
Kind of.
With AI.
Like
what if we spent even more money? That's what's happening.
Some of the numbers that are rumored for these people are like a couple $100 million. Like they're big money that they're spending to get these people, and big enough where Apple, I guess, can't really do anything to counter it. But it's also, I mean, I don't know anything about the inner workings of Meta, but as Jason says, like they've kind of flopped on a bunch of these projects, and they're spending a ton of money to do something. The Ray-Ban glasses are kind of cool, and we'll see what comes out of all of this. But I think what a lot of these companies don't realize is that like Apple builds a culture. Like the culture inside Cupertino, inside Apple Park, isn't just a couple guys. Like it's the way the company operates. It's not just, we get him. So a perfect example, look at Johnny Ive since he left Apple. He hasn't really done much of note. A couple of things that are, but nothing like the iPhone or nothing like the iMac. Like it's a culture of design, of history that these people, either you buy into it or you don't. So we'll see what Meta does. There's a bunch of other guys. I could list off the names. I don't even know most of these people. Jian Zhang, Billy Sorrentino, Frank Chu, Tom Gunter, Kay Yang, Mark Lee, Bowen Zhang, Robbie Walker. Like there's a bunch of people that are big enough.
There's a bunch of people at lower levels, but at the senior VP and VP and stuff levels, senior VP, those are the people who are on the page,
the
website's page, right? They're leaving too. Kate Adams, she was the general counsel. She was
that was my next
chief lawyer.
Yeah,
she's gonna retire in late 2026. So that's another Jeff Williams situation. I'm calling my shot now. I'm retiring in a year, and so she's being replaced by somebody named Jennifer Newstead, who's coming from Meta. And before that worked in government. And you can see why they're doing that, because they need somebody who can, if you're legal counsel for Apple, your biggest concerns right now are antitrust, and antitrust. And then things like tariffs and stuff.
I got to assume that's not a very fun job to be general counsel for Apple. It's prestigious. But it's got to be like a 9 to 5, like, oh my God. Like
lawyer.
Yeah.
I guess it's great. And then Lisa Jackson, who we've seen in a bunch of videos. She's the environment policy and social initiatives person. But that's every time they do the video, the part of their thing about how they're reducing greenhouse emissions and using post-consumer recycled products and stuff. So she's the one introducing all that stuff. She's leaving soon. January. So, and notably not being replaced. Her team is going to report to the COO, and that's all that is. So that's kind of troubling if you're excited about how Apple is committed to the environment and social justice and so on. I could see how saying like, well, we don't have a person who's like a senior level exec in charge of that. That's just a team that works under the COO now, right? That could be kind of concerning.
I mean, they have that plan to be carbon neutral by whatever 2030 or something, and like I don't think that'll change. But there's also been a bunch of things that they've had to like backtrack on, where they said things were carbon neutral and they weren't. Like Apple Watch, and it has to be paired with this specific strap and stuff. So it's a tricky thing. I understand why they would need a VP, a high level person to manage that. I also understand maybe why they wouldn't. I mean, we'll see. I think
as a political environment, as a political environment, either they're going to drop these things.
I highly doubt that,
or reduce them quietly, just not be as concerned about it, and just quietly not. Meet these goals and just never bring it up again. Or they'll just stop promoting that they're doing these things because apparently caring about the environment makes you evil now. And
it's not in vogue
and that's
anymore.
not allowed. And that's a great way to sort of anger the current administration in the country in which Apple operates. So that could be that too.
I don't think they're going to do that. I think Apple is committed, like in not just a PR way. I think they care about all this stuff. It would surprise me if they just kind of like got rid of their pages about the environment and stopped talking about recycled aluminum and things that they're doing.
I would not.
It would surprise me.
I would not be surprised about that.
I don't think. We'll see. I just think that it's more of a. I think Tim Cook, as CEO, does care about the carbon footprint that Apple is leaving, which is sizable. So I'd be surprised, but we'll see. Anyway, Lisa Jackson is leaving. As Jason says, soon, and she's been with the company for a while too. We've seen her on a bunch of keynotes. A pretty notable face at Apple, and Kate Ann. So that's the end of my list for people who are actually leaving. The reason why we decided to do a whole show devoted to this is because over the weekend, Mark Gurman of Bloomberg reported that Johnny Soroji, who is like the big Apple Silicon chip guru, that he wanted out. And when that was reported, that was like oh my God. Like, is everybody leaving? Because he's been with them forever. He's responsible for the whole transition to Apple Silicon. He's by all accounts, a brilliant mind in the Silicon world.
Yep.
And it was reported that he went to Tim Cook and said, "Hey, I want to leave," and Apple panicked and offered him whatever. And then on Monday, it was reported that he told his team, like, "I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving anytime soon." Was the quote. So maybe they gave him enough to stay. Maybe the report wasn't accurate. We don't know. But that was like if somebody of that level, like John Turnus, or, as we talked before, Tim Cook, like if somebody that big leaves, that's like, maybe there's a problem in Apple Park.
Right. Yeah. That was sort of, him leaving was sort of like Craig Federighi, like it leaked that Craig Federighi came out and said, not I'm old and been here forever and I'm retiring, but like, hey, I'm thinking about maybe going somewhere else. Because what he said was, according to the report, I'm thinking about going and working somewhere else, not retiring, but I'm going to go work for some other company. We don't know what happened. Like you said, we don't know if it was true. We don't know if that all surrounded like, hey, I just love working for Tim Cook. And if Tim Cook goes, I go. Maybe it was just like, he's got a lot of great offers from a lot of other places.
I'm sure he does.
You need to pay me more. I don't know what it was. But he did come out and say, I'm not leaving anytime soon. Maybe anytime soon is just sufficiently vague and he's still going to leave next year. I don't know. But that's like Craig Federighi leaving, or like you said, John Turnus or somebody. So yeah, that would have been huge. And just that rumor existed, even though he came out now and said, no, I'm not going anywhere. That's not the kind of thing that happens at Apple all the time. Like Apple's exec team is solid.
Exactly. And he didn't say like, that's false. He said, I love my team and I'm not leaving anytime soon. So if it was completely untrue, I assume he would have said, hey, that report's nonsense. I'm not going anywhere. He said, I love my team. I love Apple and I'm not leaving. I'm sure all those things are true, even when Gurman reported on it. Like, if somebody leaves next November, that's not soon, right? So like Jason said, it's a little vague of a counter. And it just speaks to, we just spent, 20 minutes running through a dozen plus names. Names, mind you, that are big enough that they are written about. Like, there's, I don't know how many people at Apple, I don't know how many people work at Apple, like the numbers, say 20,000. Of those 20,000, there's 18,500 that you wouldn't even know who they are because they're just, lower level workers. They're important, of course, but they're not names. They're not known names. These are all known entities that have been either wooed by Meta and left, or retired, or decided to leave, or just
some other startup. They're all going to startups. There's currently, it's all VC money in the Valley's been a problem.
They're throwing money
for
around
a long time, and it's gone crazy. It's gone just absolutely nuts. There's infinite money for every startup who just has the right pitch about AI, and So some people are going and joining some of these things. It's a tumultuous time, and it got me thinking a lot about, to circle it back around to Tim Cook, it got me thinking a whole lot about this critical juncture in his tenure as CEO. Because if you just look at his time as CEO, if you look at Tim Cook's time at Apple, like he took over as CEO from a person who was one of just a couple of company leaders who was so well known that like everybody associated him, not just with the company, but with an entire industry, right? It was like him and Bill Gates, like
well known, well liked, beloved, respected, revered. I mean, it was gigantic shoes to fill, gigantic,
and just, even if not loved, just like everybody respected what he did, like and had changed the industry and stuff. Like so to take over from that is huge. To be Steve Ballmer to Bill Gates, like Ballmer had no chance of being Bill Gates, right?
And Bill Gates was not Steve Jobs. Like Steve Jobs was Apple. Like he was the keynote guy. He was like his fingerprints. I'm not saying Bill Gates wasn't all over Windows, but I feel like Jobs was so much more of a persona than like a beloved, a respected persona.
Maybe so. I think everybody was just mad at Bill Gates every time their Windows machine crashed. But I think in terms of like, you don't have to know anything about technology or care about it. You could be an auto mechanic in the middle of nowhere or whatever. You knew who Bill Gates was.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
Like, and there are very few company leaders like that in the world. He was taking over from one of them. And by all accounts, like he launched multiple products that became like not just successful, but like the biggest products in their category in the world, like AirPods and Apple Watch and so on. He made the company more than 10 times bigger.
Absolutely.
More than 10 times the number of customers, more than 10 times the market share, more than 10 times the value of the company. And it expanded all the stores, all the other stuff. And he did the chip transition was such a miracle. And I don't just mean the transition from Intel to M1. I mean, Apple basically replaced third-party chips in all of its devices. The main chips, it still doesn't. No, they don't make RAM and display controllers and stuff like that. But like the main processors, the main radio processors, the main network chips and stuff like that are now all Apple things in all of their devices. And it just kind of happened. They have 1 billion customers and it didn't screw up anybody. That's a miracle. That's incredible.
Yeah.
And so he did all of this, but just like every other major tech company, ChatGPT came out 3 years ago and caught everyone off guard. The best AI companies in the world were all going down this path, and ChatGPT comes out and they all realize they're racing in the wrong direction. They're like, no, people want chatbots. Like, oh my God, with large language models, chatbots, it's not like computer vision and stuff like that. We're going the wrong way with this AI stuff. And they did not, where everybody else successfully sort of turned their ship and went that way. Apple hasn't yet. Like Apple really missed that.
Yeah.
And is in the middle of trying to right that. And we have all this like shake up with executives, like everybody's leaving. So we're at this point right now where we're definitely at the end of the Tim Cook era, whether it's another year or 2 years, this is the end. And it's either going to be the success story where it's like, oh my God, they came out on top with AI. Oh my God, all these executives left and it brought in this fresh group of really qualified people who have a great bold vision and and accelerated Apple's, progress, or it's going to be a disaster. He's going to fumble at the at the 1 yard line. He'll be racing to the end, and all anyone's going to remember is how Apple blew it on AI and all their best people left. So it's a really either or situation with Tim right now, right at the finish line. It's got to be extremely stressful.
Yeah, I would think so. There's a lot of truth to that. I mean, if the new series, so next year is a big year for Apple and AI. The new series is supposed to finally launch in, say, March, sometime before the WWDC in 27 comes out. If that's not what it needs to be, and Tim Cook retires in September, say, like, so you'd think that would be a stain large enough to sully his legacy?
That and Vision Pro flopping and stuff like that. It's going to look like he wasn't the guy to take Apple into a new era. All he did was make the products that they had really successful, but he couldn't make new products.
That's an interesting
whether they're software or hardware new products. Yeah. It's going to look that way.
So the Apple Watch is, a logical transition from the iPhone, or a logical evolution of the iPhone.
And it was supposedly underway sort of before Steve Jobs passed. I don't know, but
like AirPods are, again, they're great and they are huge, but it's not the innovation that the iPhone was. It's a pair of wireless. He just popularized what was already there. So I understand what you're saying. I don't know if I would hang it all on Tim Cook, but I guess he's the CEO and he kind of has to take it and wear it.
Right. And I wouldn't necessarily, like you said, I wouldn't necessarily agree with that sentiment, but it is going to look that way if the CEO retires after so many senior execs retiring or getting or moving to work for other companies, and then they blow it on the most important transition that they're already behind on. Right. Like the most important transition in 10 years, 20 years.
Yeah, probably. So the iPhone was 20 years ago, so probably since then.
But then the other side could just be just as true. The new Siri could be good, if not great. It could be at least good. Then we see at WWDC, we see iOS 27, and it's got all these really great AI features, and they all work, and they're all cool stuff that everybody wants. And all the new people who replace all these execs departing are great. They have a great vision for the future and know how to execute, and they on time, and they are bold. Yep. The person that they're bringing in to replace John Giannandrea, who they just sniped from Microsoft, who sniped it from Google, who's just it's like
in the last 3 months, he's gone to every major tech company.
I know. Yeah. I don't know that he's worked at Meta, but he was at Google forever, and then Microsoft sniped him, and then wasn't there 6 months.
It was a couple months. Yeah.
I think June or July is when he went to be corporate VP, which is their version of senior VP. That's the I'm on the web page guy.
Yeah, sure.
So if all that works out great, Tim Cook looks like a genius. He looks like he retires on top, and he's like, I successfully navigated this transition where nobody was expecting this.
Right. We'll see. Yeah.
So, it's going to be an interesting couple of years.
I wonder, so do all these executive departures kind of hasten Tim Cook's decision? Because, he obviously cares about the company and he cares about his legacy, but, this is a lot of transition right now. They have to figure out, the people who have left, who's replacing them, then onboard those people and get them up to speed. And I wouldn't be surprised if that means Tim Cook stays on another 18 months.
Yeah, if I was Tim Cook, part of that makes me feel like I should stick around longer to make sure all this works. That is a little bit of that sort of corporate ego that gets in there and goes like, well, no, maybe the right thing to do is to let the next guy be CEO and have his shot at his vision for what this is supposed to be. Maybe that's part of why some of these people are leaving, is because like the vision that Tim Cook has is, you know, a 20-year-old vision for technology. It's not where things are going. Maybe the new guy does have the vision that keeps people on. Because when you're at a super, super high level, yeah, it's about money, of course, but you want to work somewhere where you change the world. Yeah,
I don't think Tim Cook needs any more money. I don't think any of those guys do.
No,
I think it's a matter of passion at this point.
And a lot of people at that level are like that. So, and that's one of the reasons they go. I mean, it's great that the Meta wants to pay them all the money in the world, but Meta also has we want to change the world and as fast as possible mentality. And I think some people want to work under that. So it'd be interesting to see. We don't know who the next CEO is going to be.
No, that was one of my questions.
John Turnus is the name people throw around, and I think, everyone says John Turnus. That would be a good pick, I think.
So John Turnus is the hardware guy. He does Mac stuff. Like we've seen him on keynotes. I think the first time we saw him was he was introducing the Mac Studio during that event. Yes. So it was that 2022. So he's a known guy. We've seen him on videos for the MacBook Pro.
And he just was the guy introducing the Air.
The Air, okay.
The iPhone Air.
He was
the iPhone Air.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. He was the iPhone Air introducer in September in that video. Yeah.
He's relatively young. Let me see if I can quickly, unless you can beat me to it, Roman. How old is John Turnus? He's pretty young. Tim Cook is 65, so he's getting to the point where, you know, if you want to enjoy some of your life without working every friggin' day at Apple, it's, you know, I would say within 5 years at the absolute latest, Tim Cook will retire.
Right. John Turnus is my age. He's 50.
Yeah, they think he's around 50. They
think
his birth date hasn't been revealed, so you don't know his exact date. Yeah,
that's interesting.
It's at least I can't find it.
Yeah, I saw 1975, but we like the actual day of the year. We don't know.
Right.
But it's December, so he's 50.
Okay.
Unless he was like one of those born on Christmas guys.
Yeah.
He's 50. I mean, that's the kind of age where you can be CEO for another 50 years or something.
Sure.
And retire at a decent time. So, but he apparently, and this is just, again, you know, gossip and stuff like that, is he's well liked. He has a good, you know, ability to kind of get things done on time and ship. And
he has
nobody's really
video personality. Like he looks, you know, like he expresses himself well.
Yeah, that's true.
And, you know, he's good on camera.
And if you could say anything about Apple, it's certainly not that they make bad hardware.
Yeah, no.
Like he's not in charge of any of the one specific parts. Like he's not the designer. He's not the chip guy. That's Sroji or something like that. He's in charge of like the overall vision of the hardware and getting all the chips and all the hardware design and all the materials and all the suppliers and everybody else together to make it into a holistic product. And you certainly can't say Apple does a bad job there. Like that's the thing. That's the one area Apple is known for being great at.
And there's something to be said for getting a hardware guy as CEO after 15, 20 years of Tim Cook. Not that he's not a hardware guy, but that's not the world he comes from. He's
the operations guy.
Operation guy. So Turnus he's been with the company for 25 years, it looks like. So he's been around. He's seen all this. You know, he's seen the transitions from iPhone and iPad and chips, and you know, he's in that world. He's a logical choice. Craig Federighi is another one who's been around. He's been with Apple for forever. I'm sure if you're listening to this, you know him. He has the big poofy hair. They make fun of him. They call him Hair Force One all the time on the keynotes. You know, funny guy, another great video, great keynote, great personality guy. He does software. So
he's 56.
Who's this? Federighi.
Federighi.
Okay. Yeah. So, you know, relatively young. Been with Apple
he could be
probably longer
at least
than
another decade.
Let me look. How long has he been with Apple, Roman? Federighi?
Oh God.
It's been a while.
Caught me off guard on that one. Yeah, I think it has
I just
been a
assumed
while.
you had his Wikipedia page up.
I did, and then I closed it. So
he came from Next.
Wow. Okay.
I think he came to Apple when Apple bought Next.
right.
And Jobs engineered that
that's
whole
why I was
thing,
like, oh God, that's a long time. Yeah. Well, he
So-
left. Apple. It says here he returned to Apple in 2009.
Oh, he must have
yeah.
left and come back. Okay.
Yeah, he left in 99 for Ariba, whatever that is. Software and information services located in Palo Alto. They were sold to a German company, and then he came back to Apple. Okay. So, but yeah, he's been in one way or another with them for decades. And, as a Jobs guy, he's from that era as well. So there's that whole culture thing again. So he's another choice. I don't know of like Eddie Q. I don't think he's CEO material in the sense that like that's not his role. I'm sure he's capable of doing it, and he's been with the company forever, but he doesn't seem like the kind of guy that would want a job like that or would excel in a job like that. Anyone else come to mind other than those two? I mean, it could be someone we don't know. It could be someone from the outside.
That's the other thing. Yeah. Apple hasn't changed CEOs a lot, but companies of this size do get CEOs from the outside.
Well, famously,
There's
they
a transition.
replaced Steve Jobs with John Scully from Pepsi.
Yeah.
Right. So that was that whole thing. And then they had another outside guy before Steve Jobs came back. So, it didn't work, but that doesn't always not work. Like sometimes new eyes, new blood, a new perspective could do wonders for your company. But Apple we're talking about a monster company. Back when Scully took over, it was a small little startup, and that's a different perspective. Like whoever is the next CEO, it is a ridiculous undertaking to steer a $4 trillion company that's probably the most influential in the world right now into a new era of AI
it's
and everything
the most
else.
influential with like regular human consumers, out of all these. Like they may not have as much money as NVIDIA, but my parents don't know who NVIDIA is.
Right.
And they don't need to. Yeah. They never need to. They can use all of NVIDIA's products in the cloud without ever knowing it. And it's not like Apple at all.
Right. So 2026 is, we'll do is next week are we doing a wrap up or a look forward? I know, I think it's a wrap up next week. But in a couple of weeks, we'll have our 2026 preview, and, it could be a ridiculously monster year of change for Apple with new stuff, folding iPhone, Tim Cook leaving. Like the next 12 months could be wild for Apple.
Right.
All
right. We're done with this. That was 45 minutes. Sure. Roman, we have no time for your iMac. Sorry. All right. So let's do This Week in Apple History, and then we'll do the reader mailbag, and we'll talk about your iMac story as we weave through those.
Okay.
You're up.
So This Week in Apple History can also tie into mailbag because on December 14th, 2017, Apple released the iMac Pro. Now, it had been revealed the previous June at WWDC.
Right.
And then they officially released it in December.
Do you know, did they announce the price at WWDC, or was the price revealed in December? Do you have any idea?
They did reveal the price at WWDC.
They did. Okay.
Yes.
So we knew it was $5,000.
Yes. So there's an article written by Michael Simon, and the subhead. This is written in June 5th, 2017. The subhead says it'll cost $5,000 when it ships in December, so start saving now.
Yeah, that's pretty clever. good for that guy.
Good advice from Michael Simon.
I didn't even realize I was covering Apple Macworld at that point. I thought I was still working for PC World. Interesting. Maybe I just pitched in that day.
It's very possible because during big keynote, like big events like WWDC, like freelancers would jump around and do different beats and stuff. So it could have been something like that, but that's just how long that has been.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably what happened, because I was at that WWDC, and then there's an article where it's a photo album of the iMac Pro.
It was
and then
super
you wrote
cool.
the specs. Yeah.
They did so it was the first iMac available in space gray black. It was it's really nice. The iMac Pro is a really nice. It's a shame they only made one, and it was kind of like a one-off, and they never did it again. But it's a pretty the iMac in black is nice.
It got a couple chip upgrades, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's when they came out with the space gray Magic Mouse and the space gray keyboard. That was nice. And also, there was a space gray trackpad as well. So all that space gray
I remember it being a point of contention among Apple fans, because at least for a while, you couldn't buy that space gray keyboard and mouse
by itself.
Only came with an iMac Pro, and everybody was like super excited when they announced that, because they're like, "Oh, I'll just go buy the keyboard and mouse on the accessories store," and they weren't able to.
It should be noted that they sell it now, but it's $20 more than the white version.
Yes, yep, costs more
because it's cooler.
Worth
that
it.
comes at a premium. Yeah,
and it is.
We gave the iMac Jason Snell he wasn't working here at that time, but he reviewed it.
Yeah.
He gave it 4.5 stars, and it's like, if you could afford it, it was a really nice machine. It was a kind of a capitulation to Apple's pro users, because 4 years earlier, they came out with the Mac Pro, the cylinder Mac Pro, which to people like me who would never buy one was like, wow, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. To people who actually needed one, they were like, wow, this is the worst thing I've ever seen, because it didn't do any of the things that they needed it to do.
Yeah. Right. They needed something that you could get in there and you could put in cards and upgrade it and stuff like that. And it didn't have any of that. In fact, I think I remember when they announced the iMac Pro at WWDC, they even said, hey, we know a lot of you pro users still want something that
modular,
is modular and expandable, and we're working on it. We're just not ready to show it to you now. But there's this.
True. Exactly right.
And I think there was like interviews after that where they had to come out and say like, oh, that other thing's not coming soon. Go ahead and buy the iMac Pro.
Right.
We don't want you to hold on your money and not buy the iMac Pro, because the modular thing's not right around the corner.
Right. Right. It came out 2 years later. 2019 was the same, basically the same one we have now. The one with the cheese grater front. But this machine was basically like faster than the 2013 Mac Pro. Obviously not modular because it's an iMac, but it gave you, lots of expansion ports and the 5K display, and it was just really cool. Like one of those things that, like, man, I wish I could just blow $5,000 on it. I don't need it. I don't really have any use for it, but man, I want one.
Yeah, it was a nice machine.
It was, yeah.
And it's unfortunate. It came with at the base configuration when it shipped, it was like 18 core Xeon processors, Radeon Pro Vega GPU. Yeah. So
they did some really impressive stuff with cooling to get all that stuff cooled like in an all-in-one without making it really huge. And all the stuff. They had a really cool cooling solution.
It was very quiet, and the size of it was the same. Like it was 27, right, Roman?
Yes.
20. So they had a 27-inch iMac, but this one just like blew that one out of the water as far as performance goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the iMac Pro. Eventually was discontinued. I had it right here, and I can't find it. I want to say 6 years later.
Oh, it held on.
No, it was discontinued. I'm sorry. It was discontinued in 2021, 4 years later. 4 years later.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah, that not very long.
Yeah, it didn't last for,
it was discontinued when the Mac Studio came out, I believe. Right? Is that true? Am I making that up?
I don't remember if that was the same time.
March 19th, 2021. That was that spring event that brought the Mac Studio.
Right.
So
and they didn't officially say that it was. I think it just kind of disappeared from the lineup.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That thing that Apple does. It got ghosted.
Yeah.
It was ghosted.
Yes. Basically, you could buy a Mac Studio with a studio display for a similar price and get similar.
That was their new solution for people who wanted an iMac.
And we keep hearing rumors that Apple's working on another iMac Pro, but then
I know. Yeah. Every year there's some new rumor.
There's some rumor, and then it dies, and nobody hears about it again. So
it's a shame. Well, I mean, this is what we wanted to talk about, but we got sidetracked by all the executive stuff. The iMac was once like much like the iPhone. We would wait for the next one. Like, what is it going to look like? How is it going to, what's Apple going to innovate here? And, I mean, it's not Apple's fault in the sense that they're neglecting it. It's just people don't really want all-in-one machines anymore. But the iMac back in 2000, that G4 and then the G5 and then the iMac Pro that we're talking, it was the coolest thing ever, man. The iMac was the thing that you aspired to buy. And now it's, the one they have now is fine. It's nice, but I wouldn't be surprised if it never gets a meaningful upgrade and then just kind of disappears.
Yeah. People use laptops,
right.
And, or they need a really, really powerful desktop machine. I mean, an iMac right now, it's just the latest M series is what they would put in it, right? It's the same thing you would put in a thin and light laptop. That's the performance you get. My complaint with it is the display it's too small and it's old. It should be 27 inches.
The 21, the size of it. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So, I know. Well, but I don't know if the iMac is going to stick around.
That could segue into the Macworld Mailbag because I wrote an article basically talking about the iMac and what's going on because we haven't heard any rumors about it at all. Nothing. We've heard rumors about every other Mac. We've heard rumors about this new low-cost Mac, but we haven't heard. We've even heard stuff about the Mac Pro, but we haven't heard anything about the iMac. And I wrote an article about it, and actually got a lot of responses via email to that article. This one email from Rose D said, I was pretty upset at your article, especially since I had just purchased my 4th iMac.
Hey, good. I'm glad someone's buying them.
Yeah. So I buy one every 10 years. Besides the iMac, I also have a MacBook Pro, an iPad, and iPhone. So I'm all in on the Apple ecosystem. Every 10 years,
I think this is his last. This is their last one, right? Apple's not going to make an iMac in 2035.
I just feel like that's your answer for why Apple's not doing it. They don't want to sell somebody a product once every 10 years. They want, right?
They want you to buy more often. Yeah.
Yeah, a little more often.
That's kind of the point. Yeah.
And that's kind of the point. And it hasn't given people a reason to buy a new one every 3 years or something. If you have a 3-year-old iMac, well, what are you really getting buying a new one?
Right.
David M says via email, too bad it's necessary to write about the embering of the iMac as we knew and loved. Whatever happened to the Apple that was created for creatives? Like starving artists and the type. I think that's the thing about
starving artists were buying Apple. They were buying Bells.
But yeah, the iMac. That's the thing about the iMac is that it's this icon and it symbolizes the spirit that everybody kind of gets attached to. So because it's more than just a product to a lot of people. It's a symbol of a certain attitude, a certain approach to things.
I think that's why they still sell it, quite frankly.
Yeah.
It is the successor of the legacy of the Macintosh in a way that this desktop Macs aren't, right? There was Apple IIs were computers you hooked up to a monitor and had separate hard drives and stuff like that. And that's Mac Studios and Mac Minis and stuff are like that. The Macintosh was an all-in-one, the original Macintosh. Like that was its thing. And then, when Jobs came back and they got to the internet era, they rebranded it iMac, but it was this all-in-one. That was the thing. And so even though iMac today is this thin, completely different looking all-in-one, it's that legacy. It's the legacy of the Mac in a way that a Mac Mini isn't, even though I'd rather have a Mac Mini and a Mac Studio display. Yeah. That's not the legacy of the Mac.
It's true.
But that's just not the world we live in anymore. We live in a world of laptops. Yeah. That's the way it is.
Yep. I have one. You can see it right behind my head. That's from, I don't know, 20.
It's an old Intel, right?
Yeah.
Or is that
it's
2017?
I think it's even before that. I want to say like 2013.
Because that's is that a 17-inch iMac? Yeah.
I think, 2017 did they make like a 19? Or 21 and a half, maybe?
I always get
I think it's 20. I think it's 21 and a half.
21 and a half.
Yeah. I'm looking at the specs. It's a 21. It's from late 2013, 21.5 inch.
Yep.
Yeah. Dennis H. wrote in and said, I purchased my 27-inch iMac in 2020, so that's an Intel machine.
Yeah.
It has been great.
Just barely.
It has been great, but I would love to replace it. I keep holding out for the replacement of my iMac, hoping this will be the year. I've never owned a desktop this long. I think there are a lot of us out there.
So he wants a larger screen, I assume? Is that what
that's what I'm assuming. Yeah, he didn't specify that in his email, but I'm assuming that's why he's been holding out.
Like 24 is just small enough where you want, I know it's only 2.5, 3 inches, but it's a big difference, 27.
Yeah, I think it makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Jim R. said, the iMac is a poor long-term investment. I've been telling people, but
so is a Mercedes,
None of these things are investments, but yeah.
I've been telling people, buy an excellent display monitor that will last 10 years or more, upgrade to computer box like a Mini or a Studio as needed. It's a far better investment. Let the iMac die. It was a good deal in its time, not anymore.
It's actually, so Roman, you and I were talking about this. You were going to work on an article about replacements, and it actually is a good deal. It's hard to find a 4.5-inch display with those computer specs and a keyboard and a mouse and a camera for less.
Yeah.
The hard thing is you can't buy a 24-inch monitor. You kind of have to buy a better monitor.
No.
You have to buy a better monitor than what the iMac is. And that messes up the thing. But you keep that. And then he's right that all-in-ones have that problem. The irony I find is that the people who always write us do exactly that. They buy an iMac and keep it for 10 years. They're like, it's a bad long-term investment. It's you should buy something where you can keep your screen and replace your thing, and then maybe just replace the screen when it's ready and not replace the box and stuff. And that's true, but that's not what people do. They buy an iMac and they hang on to it for 8 or 10 years.
Yeah, there are some people who are okay with the iMac specs, and I don't want to say they're using it like a glorified Chromebook, but the reason I use that analogy is it's those kind of tasks.
I mean, it's not built for a power user. It's built for they should make a Mac Mini in iMac colors and market it as that, and they would sell a ton of them.
Yeah.
Make a bundle. You can get a 27-inch Studio display and a Mac Mini for $12.99, and they'd sell them. They'd sell a lot of them, I think.
John says the iMac is being treated as the unwanted stepchild. I'm still using my Intel-based 2019 27-inch iMac while holding out hope for a new, larger screen. Hope dies hard. What else can I say?
Yeah.
So, everyone wants the bigger screen.
So
the
when the iMac came out in 2021, the new iMac, we were surprised that it was so small. Because we thought it was going to be 26, 28. We heard rumors, we heard 30. There were a bunch of rumors of large screens. Yeah. And it turned out the 27-inch rumor ended up being the studio display. Like they just got kind of like lost in translation.
So the reports we keep hearing of like this iMac Pro or a larger,
I don't know what reports you're hearing, Robin, but I haven't heard.
I'm talking about reports that have been like that are like almost a year old now.
Yeah,
they're kind of old
now.
now.
It's been a while.
They keep alluding to a 32-inch screen, which I wonder if maybe is too big.
Nope.
You don't think
I don't think so either.
I'm going to say nope.
I think it's probably a waste of Apple's resources to put that in an iMac. I think they would make a display.
This display behind me is 32. That's and it's great. No, 32 is awesome.
32 is.
I do think 27 is kind of the sweet spot.
It is. I mean, for like small desk or normal size desk and stuff.
Right.
And when you have to be really price conscious and stuff like that, it's fine. They really can't get away with 24 anymore. It feels small. I feel like they can't. If this is going to be a thing where they keep the same display for years, it's got to have HDR, especially since they have all this HDR content. They have Apple TV. They have all this HDR content now. It's got to have that. So the display needs a big upgrade. And it would be nice, honestly, if they had options where it was going to be like the M5 and M5 Pro as an option. Give me an option for like faster M chip if I want it. It is in bad need of an upgrade. And the fact that we haven't heard anything, like you said, Roman, it's been a year since we even heard a rumor.
Yeah.
And half of those rumors we heard a year ago sound like later rumors made it sound like, oh no, what they were really talking about is an upgraded studio display
and a pro
because that's
display.
got all this stuff in it too, where it's practically an iMac.
It basically is. Yeah, it's like they could switch on something on that. It has like an iPhone motherboard, I think, in there we read, or an iPad motherboard. Yeah. Camera.
It's got no wireless, so
speakers.
It has no Bluetooth. It has no Wi-Fi. It has no.
But now they got their own chip. They can make it, super.
They could do that. It's so close to just being an iMac. It has It has a weirdly large amount of storage. What is it, 128 or something?
Something like that, or like 64. It was a lot. Yeah. For a display.
If we're done with the iMac discussion, I got one more email that's not iMac related.
All right, sure. Okay. Let's go. It's Christmas. We'll give our listeners a gift.
Well, that's why I wanted to bring up this email because Jason knows this email. So this email was sent by Bradley C. to Jason to the podcast, but specifically addressing Jason. And it says, my wife and I made a quote unquote beef Wellington that has been a hit with us and meat-eating family members for many years. It's a bit of work making is it seitan? Is that how you say it?
Seitan?
Seitan. Okay, right. Filling, the mushroom surround, and the creamy spinach sauce, but it pays off in the end. Trust me.
This is because the other week we were talking about what we did for Thanksgiving, and I mentioned my wife's a vegetarian, so we usually just make, when we're at home, we make sides, but we go to our neighbors and have like Friendsgiving and stuff. So he heard that the vegetarian and that you don't make a turkey and gave us great beef Wellington recipe. I looked at the recipe. He sent a PDF. It is a lot of work. It's not. I don't know that we're going to do that for this holiday, but this Christmas.
Have you worked with satay before?
Seitan?
Whatever it is.
Sure. I mean, it's, that's not the tricky part. The tricky part is you got to make this like minced, like sauteed mushroom thing.
Yeah, we've done
it, and then the dough and all. It's a lot.
We've done actual beef Wellington a couple of times with the puff pastry. You make a mushroom duxelle, and you have the prosciutto wrapped around but it is hard. Gordon Ramsay makes it look super easy on his shows. To get it to the right temperature without being able to see it or probe it, it is hard. And if you screw it up, like that's it. Like good night, because then you got to put it back in the oven and
why can't you probe it?
Because then you lose all the juices, and then the thing gets soggy because it's all wrapped up. I mean, you could, but like the point is the presentation.
Yeah.
So then it leaks out, and then the bottom gets soggy. Like it's a mess. But when you get it right, man, there's nothing better. I thought that email, I didn't read it all because Roman shared that with me as well. I thought it was for beet Wellington. I thought the whole thing was like a big giant beet.
You know what? Actually, beets wrapped in puff pastry doesn't sound terrible.
No,
it doesn't sound like
that
an
bad,
application for people.
If they're like sauteed and like they're good. Pizza.
Get dipped with goat cheese, that'd be good.
Sure. Try bake that for New Year's, Jason. Report back. Hey, I gotta correct myself real quick. So March 2021 was when the iMac Pro was discontinued. It had nothing to do with the Mac Studio. Mac Studio came out a year later. They just discontinued it because like it wasn't the iMac. The M1 iMac came out a month later, but it was just we woke up one morning and on the website it said while supplies last, and that was it.
Right. That's right. Okay.
It wasn't tied to an event. It wasn't tied to a release. They just decided like we're going to clear out the stock, and that's it. And then a year later, the Mac Studio with the 27-inch studio display came out and was like a replacement for the iMac Pro, kind of.
And if I remember correctly, I might be wrong on this. The M1 iMac benchmarked faster than like base configurations of the iMac Pro.
Oh,
probably. Yeah. Something like that.
Sure.
Yeah. But
because the iMac Pro was like an older, lower wattage version of the Xeon and stuff. So,
that base configuration of the iMac Pro was not,
It was always about like Intel's heat dissipation and the performance per watt and stuff. That's why Apple was so frustrated with it. That's a whole nother show. We're not going to get into this now. We've been talking for an hour.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyways, thanks Bradley for sending in the recipe. That was nice.
Send in more recipes.
Wait, no.
Well, if we're requesting recipes,
we won't read them. But
okay.
if we're requesting recipes, something with meat, please, because I'm not working with vegetarian alternatives. Although my wife doesn't eat beef anymore. This has been like a year thing. For the last year, she doesn't eat red meat. She still eats chicken.
Okay.
But my son and I eat red meat. Anyway, okay. That's it. That does it for this episode of the Macworld Podcast, episode number 962. Thank you to Jason Cross.
Thank you.
Thank you, Roman.
Thank you, sir.
And thanks to the audience for tuning in. You can subscribe to the Macworld Podcast in the podcast app on Spotify, YouTube at the Macworld. Oh, I meant to ask you, Roman, have you used the new the new beta for Tahoe or iOS 26.2? So it does chapters like automatically. So we've gotten a couple emails from people who asked us to do chapters. Yeah.
For podcasts?
Yeah. So it does it like, can we look into like how that works, or if it like, is it just do it? Or do we have to set something?
I think they announced it and I think Tahoe does it, but I think there's also, I might have this wrong. There's a back end on the Apple's podcast service that does chaptering, and they announced it, but they haven't implemented it yet.
Yeah, well, it's just coming up there, so it'll be out this week most likely. Oh, wait, what's not true?
So the beta of the iOS 26.2 on iPhone stuff. You can open the podcast app. You can go to any episode of Macworld Podcast. We all have chapters.
Okay,
it's just like the auto transcript thing. It's an AI thing. They just AI decide when you're talking about a new topic and make chapters. So if you designate chapters as a podcast creator, it keeps those. It's not going to overwrite that. But if you don't, it will AI generate chapters. I don't know if it does a great job. I didn't check on it like a lot of episodes and see if it does a great job or anything. It seemed to do okay in the couple of Macworld ones I checked.
All right.
But
that's cool. That. So, if you're looking for chapters, because we have a very small operation here, but if you listen in the podcast app on 26.2, and you'll see chapters.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So it has nothing to do with Tahoe. It's just it's an iOS thing, or just a podcast app thing.
Just podcast app thing.
Okay.
It's that. There's a couple other things. It'll automatically pull. If you reference other podcasts in the transcript, it'll pull those out as links and stuff like that.
Okay. There's a couple. All right. Well, that's cool. So I don't know. Play around with that, Roman. I don't even know if there's anything to play around with, but so you can subscribe to Macworld on the podcast app, which we recommend doing because you'll get chapters on Spotify, on YouTube at the Macworld Podcast channel, or through any other podcast app. Comments or questions, Contact us through Blue Sky, Facebook, Threads, search for Macworld, look for the Blue Mouse logo, send us an email at podcast@macworld.com. Send any of us an email, and we will talk about it on the next episode or our upcoming episode. Join us in the next episode of the Macworld Podcast as we talk about everything in the latest... son of a... Join us
yes.
Join us in the next episode of the Macworld Podcast as we talk about the latest in the world of Apple. See you next time.